Hey golfers, buckle your seatbelts because I have something that is going to transform your ball striking today. Do you ever hit it fat, thin, top it, and really just don't know what kind of contact you're gonna get every swing? I'm gonna show you this one position in your golf swing that is going to tell you exactly what is going wrong, and I'm gonna show you how to fix it. So we're gonna talk about the M line. Never heard of it? Doesn't stand for mags, even though I wish it would. Make sure you stay tuned to find out what this M line is all about. The point that we are looking at in our golf swing to check and see how our impact position is gonna be a point just post impact. So if impact is here, we are looking to pause this video from face on at the lowest point of our swing circle. So if we're hitting an iron, that lowest point of our swing circle should be post impact a couple of inches, kind of where we'd be taking that divot before the club would be working up on the other side of our golf swing. So if this is impact, post impact is gonna be a couple inches ahead here. And what we are looking for in this M line is that the club head, our lead hip, and our lead shoulder should be roughly in a straight line. Okay, that's what you're gonna see in the best ball strikers in the world. So post impact, all this should line up where club head, lead hip, lead shoulder are in a straight line. If you don't see this, then we're gonna talk about the 3 common faults that I see on the lesson tee every day and the solutions to fix it. So make sure you stay tuned and learn how we can all hop aboard the M-Line Express. So using a box, if you're at home, you could use like an ottoman or a small, chair or side table, but essentially something that we can line up in the front part of our stance, right? Because I've got an 8-iron, the ball would normally be in the middle of my stance, which means the lowest point would be several inches in front of that. And we want to feel like as we're swinging into impact, past impact, that we are lining up the club head, lead hip, lead shoulder. You can do this in a mirror, right, where you can see the feedback, and we're looking to feel all of these pieces lining up, okay? So Scott Calx is the awesome instructor that kind of coined this term called the M line. And, I think most people like to look at impact, right, and kind of see, do we have that picture perfect impact position? But this post impact position is a very telling part of our golf swing that can help us improve our ball striking if we are not in that position. So the first fault that I see commonly on the lesson tee, if we are not lining up into this M line, would be that the club head would be passing our hands, right? So kind of at the lowest point, the club head would be well in front of the handle of the golf club, passing our body. And that's just this kind of scoopy, flippy feel that a lot of amateurs have, at impact and post impact, where we're, just starting to scoop the club, get flippy. So if you struggle with fault number 1 of getting flippy, okay, so if we see that and we've practiced, along a box or, a side of a table, right, where we've kind of felt what this M line should feel like, right, and now we kind of want to take it and actually hit some balls. So if we get flippy, right, simply the club head is getting in front of our hands and the handle too soon. So we need to feel it super exaggerated, right? The opposite would be really feeling that shaft staying leaning forward for an exaggerated amount of time. So to me, the best drill for this is starting with a lot of shaft lean and hitting some just waist high to waist high shots, kind of with a straight arm follow through, and holding your finish, right? So you can see with this held off finish, if I come back, I have maintained the angle of this shaft lean, right? I've really exaggerated that shaft lean, rotated my body, and held on to that angle for an excessive amount of time, right? So if you struggle with this, the first few shots that you try will probably look a little bit like this, right? So now you come back and you can see how I have not maintained that angle. The club head has passed my hands. Okay, so hitting some shots where really feel like we're holding off that club head from passing our hands as we rotate our body and getting into that position, and then video it, right? And see how that exaggerated feel looks on camera. And most likely, you're not gonna overdo it, okay? Most likely, you're not gonna come back into the video and say, oh, my hands are way ahead. Now, if they are, sweet, okay? You can back off of it a little bit. But most likely what you're gonna see is that we're gonna line up things a lot better in that post-impact position. So if flippy is your issue, try just some little half swings with that exaggerated shaft leaning forward, holding off that angle, holding your follow through and checking when we come back down, okay, did we keep that angle? Okay, so fix for fault number 1 of the flippy hands. Okay, the second fault that I see commonly with golfers on my lesson tee would be that they're really trying to get to their left side, but they're doing it with their lower body and the upper body hangs back, right? So now you can see my lead hip is well in front of the M line, and you know, a lot of times what happens is we'll end up bottoming out early, but we're definitely not lining up here. We'll probably either hit behind it, we might top it, probably still get scoopy, but we move too much with the lower body and we don't get that upper body rotating enough to get stacked on top to get that good impact and post-impact position and good contact. So making sure that we're not getting to our left side by just sliding our hips too much and leaving our upper body back, because that's going to lead to a lot of contact issues, as you can see. So again, what does it feel like to make sure that my upper body is stacked more on top of my lower body and not hanging back, right? We're going to take practice swings. We're going to feel what that feels like. We're going to feel where the pressure is. We're going to feel how much that upper center, your sternum, is getting more over the golf ball, okay? Okay, for fault number 2, where our hips are sliding too much, leaving the upper body back, okay, where we really feel like we're, you know, a lot of people that are trying to get their left side, like, oh, I'm really shifting left. But if we leave our upper body back, that club's still going to bottom out behind the ball, and that's not going to be very good contact. So a great drill to fix that and to get our upper body a little bit more stacked and lining up with this M line is to hit a few shots with our feet together. Okay, so if our feet are together and we try to move one part of our body one way and another part of the body the other way, we're going to lose our balance. So just hitting some little shots with our feet together where our balance, we have to try to keep our balance, right? It's really hard for me to get that lower body moving too far ahead of the upper body, okay? See, everything just has to stay really stacked on top of each other, right? So hitting a few shots like that, if you really struggle with it, you'll probably find you'll lose your balance initially, but that's okay, that's good feedback, right? And then as you get better with this, then gradually widen out your stance and see if we can feel that same sensation of that upper body staying more stacked on top of that lower body so that we can line up that M line better post-impact. So the third fault that I see commonly on the lesson tee, if we're not lining up to this M line, would be for somebody that tends to maybe swing a little bit steeper, a little bit more over the top in the downswing. We get too much rotation, right? And now we're not even getting to that M line, right? Our hips more back, our pressure's back, our weight's on our back foot. So we line up more like this at impact, way far away from where that M line should be. So that's very common in people that tend to rotate too soon. We don't get that pressure shift forward in the golf swing. So a lot of rotation, end up on our back foot, and you can see clearly that I'm not even close to lining up on that M line. Okay, so the fix for fault number 3 of too much rotation, staying too far back of the M line, not even reaching it with our lead hip or shoulder, right? Is, again, somebody that tends to start their downswing with rotation. So a great drill for this is where we're going to go ahead and basically start with a little bit more pressure forward. So I want you to start almost like 70% of that pressure on that left side, and we're just going to stay there. Okay, we're going to stay on that left side as we come through. And so just by feeling ourselves starting there, already kind of getting that pressure forward is the first step in being able to get there in the full swing. So starting a little more forward, really solid there. Definitely that would have lined up better. Okay, so then, you know, if you hit some shots good where you're starting with that much weight forward, right, then we want to take a swing where, and I've done this drill in previous videos, where you're gonna set up in your standard setup, ball roughly in the middle of your stance, and you're gonna move everything back about 6 inches, the club too, and your body. So now that ball is way forward. The only way that I'm gonna be able to make contact with that golf ball is I have to feel that pressure shift forward. If I just turn and rotate, I'm literally gonna hit a mile behind it. Okay, so I've moved everything back, and my one goal is to try to make decent contact with this golf ball that's well forward of where it should be my stance. So I'm really gonna have to feel like I'm chasing after it, moving my pressure into that left side aggressively in order to try to make decent contact. And again, that's just gonna get your body used to feeling this lateral pressure shift that we need to feel before we start that rotation. We need the rotation in the downswing. We just can't have it too early, or else we'll never be able to catch up and have that weight enough forward in order to strike the ground after the golf ball. So again, setting up normally, moving everything back, and then really feeling like you're chasing after the golf ball. And then once you've done that a few times and you've made decent contact, then you can move the ball back to its standard ball position. But I want you to feel every bit as much of that exaggerated pressure shift forward that you did in the drill. And that was just so pure, so pure. Okay, so try that if you tend to be too rotational and don't even get to that M-line post-impact. Okay, so this M-line position can help you self-diagnose a lot of things in your golf swing. So by videoing from face on, pausing that video post-impact, making sure that we have the club head, lead hip, and lead shoulder lining up. And if it's not, one of those 3 faults is probably yours. You can do those drills to fix them. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe below so I can continue bringing you content like this every week. If you'd like to work with me one-on-one, a little bit more individually, we can do so through the Skillest app, and I have that link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later.